What drew me to you was you were the first detransitioner doing a video talking about your soul. I'd not heard anyone in that community talk about anything spiritual, let alone their soul.
Oh, okay. Hi, I'm Nicolas Flowers. I run a YouTube channel just to help people come back to their souls.
I'm Kimo. I'm a relational soul coach, a sunrise chaser, and a soul adventurer.
Let's get soulful!
Have you taken a deep breath today? Because your own deep breathing connects you to your soul, and it also helps you regulate yourself so you don't have to depend on anyone or anything outside yourself.
Let's do it together. Put your hand on your heart. Take a deep breath in. Feel the air going through your nose and into your lungs. Take a moment to feel your heart and say thank you to your heart. And just stay there for a moment. Just be. You're safe and you're loved.
Yeah, I feel ready for the day. I feel ready to do this podcast.
Let's do it. That's how powerful connecting to your heart can be. I feel like it takes practice to even, get into that rhythm, but still, even just doing it once throughout the day just shifts you from going from a chaotic state to more like, okay, let me come back to my body. Let's settle in. Let's stop being anxious.
It's a good reminder, it reminds me of Thich Nhat Hanh. He's a Buddhist monk, and he talks about the sound of the bell. So in the monastery, whenever the sound of the bell happens, they all take a moment to deep breathe and be present. And I guess it's our own sound of the bell. And you could say for some reason I was drawn to this topic of detransition. It all started a few years ago when I was doing my capstone paper for my bachelor's in psychology. And I was very drawn to this topic of transgender because I'm a psychologist. I like studying human behavior. And there was a trend going on. And I don't believe in taking a side. I believe in discovery, getting curious. So I was super curious about it. And I dove in and I was seeing all these YouTube videos of detransitioners talking about how they had transitioned and then detransitioned. But prior to these videos, I was one of those that was like, yay, this is great. You're being your true self as far as, anyone who would choose to be transgender. And I don't judge anyone who chooses to be. That's their path. That's their journey. That's what they're choosing to do for themselves. And who am I to judge? But as I saw these detransitioner videos popping up, it really perked my curiosity and I wanted to understand more. So I dove in and I did this huge capstone paper. So the entire semester was devoted to doing the medical research, studying all the journals, listening to countless podcasts of young people. It was basically young people who had thought they were transgender and then detransitioned within a few years. And my psychological brain just went, we have to understand this more. If this is happening, we have to understand this. And who better to really try to understand this story and this phenomenon than a detransition, someone who thought they were transgender and became transgender and then detransitioned. And so, yeah, that kind of became my journey. And as I dug into it, I definitely was questioning how healthy and the long-term healthy effects that it could have. And so then, I'm sure YouTube figured out my algorithm and your video popped up and you were so soulful. I mean, so thoughtful. A voice I had not heard. And I had to reach out. I just had to reach out to you. So I reached out in the comments and I thought, oh my gosh, there's so many weird stalkers out there. He's going to think I'm this weird stalker. But I did it anyway. I just took the risk. I did it anyway. And you responded back, and we first responded back and forth via email, and then we did a Zoom call just to make sure, okay, she's not weird, and I knew he wasn't weird. My heart just told me he wasn't weird. Did you have any moment where you thought, this is a weirdo?
Never.
Yeah.
Never. I think that was so interesting because nobody else has ever emailed me through like seeing my YouTube channel. It was mostly like lots of Instagram scam accounts like emailing me like, hey, I can like make your account better. And I'm like, I don't want that. But you were the first person, and I looked at your like what's it called, the website that you had. So using that and going through everything, I didn't really see anything sketchy. I thought this was like the most craziest, amazing opportunity that I wanted, that was so aligned with me, because I wanted to bring more of the soulful approach to my life. I wanted to have some sort of outlet, or I wanted a more like soulful life that didn't have to just be strictly about gender, didn't have to be strictly about just day-to-day life. I just wanted something deeper, and somehow being of service in that way, using my soul and connecting with you, I was like, oh my God, this is like so crazy. This is an amazing opportunity. Because when it says relational soul coach, reading that word soul, I immediately knew this was perfect. So no, never thought you were weird or wrong or crazy, anything like that. But I'm curious, was there like a specific moment that you were like, uh-oh, there's something I need to examine here with the detransition, because there seems to be like it's not clicking properly, that why are people detransitioning, like why are there so many people detransitioning? Was there any like specific moment you were like, oh, I'm no longer completely agreeing with this transgender ideology, so I need to shift to think this way?
Yeah, I mean, it really started, it's a process, because I feel like I'm an INFP like you. We're both INFPs. So we're perceivers. We perceive and we get curious before we judge. And so, those people who are J's, like an INFJ, let's say, they're going to take in information and make a judgment about it right away. We're going to weigh it. We're going to play with it. And so when I listened to these detransitioners, their stories were compelling, because my personal story is compelling. And I believe I'm drawn to it because I had such an identity crisis myself until my mid-30s. So I relate. There's a vibrational frequency that is similar with the person who may have gender dysphoria or questioning their gender. It's an identity crisis. And I had been in an identity crisis for so many years. And so I was hearing my own story being shared through all these detransitioners, but with that little different twist. And what I knew was to come out of my own hell of identity crisis, not knowing who I am, I was on psychiatric medication. And I wrestled with psychiatric medication because I'm a very sensitive person. And, any medication you take is going to have side effects. And so it was alarming. It became alarming to me as I continued down the path. And then as I chose that as my capstone topic, basically detransition, wanting to understand the whole process more, how someone could go from transgender to detransition. And so I created, when you do a capstone, I created my own sort of research idea, hypothesis and research idea. And basically, it was really getting deep and real with detransitioners and asking them what they needed at the time of their identity crisis. What would have helped them at that time? So it's kind of projection. It's a little bit of guesswork, I guess, but you got to start somewhere. And so that I thought that was a great place to start with this mounting huge number of detransitioners. Give me more information. What would have helped you? Or even just being okay with the process, being okay with maybe that's their journey and that they had to do that in order to come to their truth. But, as you know, there can be some really serious consequences if you go too far down that path and then realize it doesn't help you. So kind of back to how I related, I was so tired of being dependent on a pill, taking a pill to be me. And what's so fascinating about me saying this is you had the similar experience of, I have to take a pill to be me. And when you go down the soul journey, when you're in the soul adventure, and you realize who you really are, that you are your soul essence, your spirit, I don't need a pill. So that's a journey as well. I just want to make sure everyone knows wherever you are on your path, it's okay and good. You're certainly not going to get judgment from me and Nicolas, but you can just hear our story and hear how it worked for us. I mean, how would I feel if someone at some point in my journey got in my face and said, you don't need that pill. Why are you relying upon a pill to live? And I go, because I have to, because I have anxiety and depression. And I would retaliate back. So we're not here to do that. Wherever you're at your journey, that's where you are. But I reached a point where I was tired of taking the pill. And I started on that soul journey. And when I built enough courage, I flushed my pills down the toilet. I did. I got mad one night. My lion came out. I'm a Leo rising. I grabbed those literally, I was so angry. I grabbed those pills and I flushed them down the toilet. I was so tired of it. I thought, I don't care about the consequences at this moment because the consequences are good and I'm going to believe in me. And so, 1,000,000 affirmations later, I didn't need the pills anymore, but I'm not kidding you. 1,000,000 affirmations later, 1,000,000 times of looking in the mirror and saying, I believe in me. I am beautiful. I am a gift, on and on. But they work. And I got support too with coaches, which is why I call myself a relational soul coach, because I can lead you back to your soul as well. That soul adventure. So that's a little bit of me, and that's a little bit of why I'm passionate about this topic, but just anything, any topic soul worthy, and why I was so drawn to you. I mean, here you are speaking of your soul and just everything in me lit up.
I love that.
Yeah, so I just had to talk to you.
Crazy? What's crazy? I was meant to make that video of my detransition because I was like, I need to share this. This is something I've been going through and thinking about months, about thinking about detransition. It's scary. So one day I had this dream of making the video, so scared of making the video in my dream that as soon as I woke up, I was like, holy cow, if there is this amount of fear, I need to do it. So I filmed it and I woke up, wrote a script, started recording, everything came out, and it was beautiful. So
I love that.
That was really...
Yeah, look what happened. I mean, you were afraid, but you did it anyway. I was afraid to throw away my pills, but I did it anyway. You were afraid to put your true voice out there, your story.
Yeah.
And then this beautiful things happen from that.
Literally, look where we are now.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so cool. I thought when you brought up why do I have to be on a pill to be happy or just, regulate your emotions, and I resonate with that so strongly because I was the same way. I didn't understand why I needed to take these pills in order to be happy. There was no amount of answers that could satisfy that question. So I kept digging and digging and digging. So I think that's where my soul journey truly, truly unfolded. Of course, it was unfolding prior to that, but it wasn't conscious. You know what I mean? It was like everything led up to those questions to really get curious, to understand, and to get deeper. And of course, it was scary at times to question everything in my existence. I thought I was trans, so like, why would I want to stop this? Why would I want to purposely sabotage myself so that my life is completely going to be different? I was scared of how people might be perceiving me. Oh, you went through this experience and now you're, just other people's judgments in my head before I would even make a decision. So just going through that rabbit hole to deeper understand my trauma probably didn't do the best way I could have, but that's okay. I'm here now. Anyways, that opened me up to discovering the wounds, the mind self, the parts of myself that felt wounded, victimized, unworthy of love, and hated. All these parts started to open themselves up to me. I started to get curious. So the more I went down that rabbit hole, it is a soul adventure. It is exploration of the deepest, darkest parts of us to feel, to just be and not make wrong. And I think that's what a lot of self-help type of books kind of have done in the past, was like, oh, I have to fix this because there's something wrong here. And that wasn't really my case. Through my journey currently, I really believe it's like a change in perspective to see that our wounds aren't wrong. They just need to be loved, cared for, nurtured, and spent time with. You know what I mean? And like, otherwise, it's just we're gonna constantly shit on that parts of ourselves, and that's the last thing we need. So that's been my adventure of more love, because the world has been, the people living on the world, in the earth, on this planet, has been lacking love. So of course that's my reflection of my reality. So it was this discovery of love and joy again, because that's what my soul truly wanted to experience in this lifetime.
Right. So where does one begin? I mean, for those out
Right.
there, where does one begin on their soul adventure? Any thoughts on that?
I think so the other day, it was Saturday, my friend came over. I was dropping little nuggets here and there, being like, oh, I was just, sitting with my soul told me this. And like, kind of like speaking in that terms, and she was like, a few minutes later, she comes about being like, so you talked about you're receiving from your soul. What does that mean? Like, what are you doing to do that? How are you doing that? She got curious. I was like, this is where I step in.
I love this.
So
I'm on pins and needles. I can't wait to hear what you say next.
So I told her, I can guide you if you want me to. So what I had her do, I think this is so important, just setting intention, just be more intentional with connecting with your soul. So it's like, okay, my friend, I didn't say my friend, hey friend, can you just put your hands on your heart, and we're going to be intentional right now. Just breathe in, and have her close her eyes and take a few deep breaths and feel into her heart. So I think when you're first starting to connect with your heart, people don't feel their hearts. So she was like, I don't feel my heartbeat. What's going on? She's like, I have boobs. I can't feel my heart. And I was like, okay, just breathe in deeper. You'll feel your heartbeat. And she was like, oh, I can feel it now. So from there, right? So from there, she was like, no, I said, okay, say, hi soul, hello, thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. Thank you for guiding me. I would like to connect with you consciously. I would like to get to know you, understand you, feel and be led and guided by you. Please make yourself known into my life so that I may be led in my highest journey. Something along those lines. And I just gave her that intention setting just to put in her consciousness. And we talked about the soul a little bit afterwards, and it was really great. What about you?
Well, I just want to add that I love how your approach is just being you, and you're just basically saying, yeah, my soul was really guiding me to do this, and that's not pushing yourself on anyone, and it's causing someone to realize, oh, that's how you live your life? And the people who are interested and want to know more will ask, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just think that's the absolute perfect way to do it. I mean, the way that I do it, I need a moment to think through this because I haven't thought about this. It's been such a journey for me. I think what really helped me understand that this is a soul adventure that I'm having here is when I understood the concept of my higher self. And your higher self pretty much is your soul, okay? But once I realized this higher self, and I could picture that. I can imagine that because I know as I do life, you feel that little feeling inside when it feels good in that very healthy, positive way. It feels like love. These decisions I'm making are from a space of love. It's not from any space of selfishness. And we know and we can feel when we are being in that space. And I call that, or I was taught that that's your higher self. And so on my soul journey, and the leaders and spiritual teachers told me that's who you really are. But those were just words to me. So there's a difference for me between the words you're hearing and actually being able to embody them and live it. And so being who I am, since I am a teacher type of person, I believe this is how my experience works. I sort of have to trudge through the mud of understanding so that then I can teach it to others, which I do in coaching and in my curriculum. So for me, I had to understand, well, what's the opposite? To understand love, to really grasp love, you know what hate is. Love's the opposite of that. Mm-hmm. So if I'm my higher self, what is this ego? What is this lower self? And what I began to understand is ego is this underdeveloped self, the unconscious self, the self that's only identified with the body. And I began to really work through this and understand it to such a high degree that I've found it to be incredibly powerful for people I coach to understand that you have this higher self and there's this underdeveloped, wounded aspect of you that comes from nature and nurture. And it can be somewhat complicated, but on a basic level, that's what's going on, is you have this ego within that wants the quick fix, that is lacking wisdom, that wants to satiate any desire, that's threatened by anything and everything, and is basically based in fear. So the opposite of fear is love, because fear conjures up all kinds of other thoughts, feelings, right? But love is joy, it's peace. And so I learned, and just with me speaking right now, can you feel the times when you make decisions from your higher self and they promote love, joy, and peace, sustaining happiness? And the decisions from ego, they might feel good in the moment, but they're never long lasting. They cannot sustain. And they tend to be selfish. So understanding that was immense for me. And so for me, the young person that was addicted to Xanax, it's my wounded ego that had me addicted to Xanax. My wounded ego was fearful, saying to me, you can't exist without Xanax. You have anxiety and it runs in your family. You have to take it. But little wounded ego, see how little wounded ego is lacking wisdom, is lacking any insight, and wants the quick fix. That didn't feel good, that anxiety you had, so take a pill. Where your higher self is over here going, okay, we can witness this anxiety, we can love through it, and we know that we are love, we are peace, we're joy. We can observe this, we can transcend this, we'll be okay. And again, these might just be words to you right now, but in practice and with getting the help you need, you can live in your higher self. And you can offer truth and love to this wounded ego aspect of you. It's really thinking of it that way, thinking of the wounded ego as just that, wounded and scared and grasping at anything and everything to make itself feel good right now. How's that sound?
I think that is great, and I have a question for you. But I just want to come back to that fact that while you're describing ego, I feel like ego is so powerful in the sense, not just, ego doesn't have a lot of wisdom and it's limited to their knowledge, but kind of lost my thought. But I think ego is powerful in the sense that it'll show you that you have so much growth waiting for you. You have so much love coming, that this is just the beginning. You are just at the lowest part of the mountain right now, but you are going at the top. The hermit is waiting at the top for you, lighting that lantern, waiting for you with so much love and guiding you too. So I think that's just powerful in that sense, because pain, our ego, our wounded parts of ourselves can seem so scary. It can be so daunting. We don't have the practice of just having that space where we're just here, being with our higher self, and also this emotion inside of us with no judgment, and it's just here. It's just there, and that's okay. And when you don't have that practice, it's obviously scary. It's like, oh my God, we're going into this dark tunnel. There can be crazy monsters about to hurt us and abuse us, and that's where ego is. But I guess my question is, what was your practice of getting to know your higher self? How did you, as you understood the knowledge and wisdom, how did you practice embodying that?
For me, the first step was I had to take care of the wounded ego within that self-loathed. I was major self-loather. I can remember just not able to even envision me loving myself. So again, from my history, I wasn't raised in a way that I felt any self-esteem or emotional support. So with those lacking, going into adulthood, that's where the no identity comes. When you don't have any voice saying, you're awesome, Kim, or recognizing the gifts you have, or maybe even your weaknesses, your strengths and weaknesses, just any sort of guidance in that way, you're a lost soul. Like, you're just lost, and I was. And I also self-loathed. I began listening to spiritual leaders and teachers, and again, I would hear their words of talking about self-love. And I literally remember saying, but how do you love yourself? I needed more than just a pedicure or a massage. I remember having these discussions with myself. I can go get the pedicure, but I still loathe myself. I still don't feel worthy. I still don't feel enough. And so, you know what I realized? I must have had some coach along the way that demonstrated to me, you have to start talking to yourself, speaking to yourself as if you would someone you love very much. Which is why I'll just share one of the little activities I have many of my clients do that are in the place that I was in. I have them go to the store, go to the greeting card aisle, pick out a greeting card just for themselves. The message that they need to give to themselves, the positive encouragement, as if you would get a card for someone you know that's hurting. But you're going to buy this card just for you. You're going to bring it home and you're going to fill it out and you're going to set it on your desk. And it's a very powerful exercise. Yeah, right?
Oh my God, that's so cute. I love that.
Yeah, I have almost every client do that. And I still do it. it's very powerful. That's the journey, is little things like that that are quite profound. But I also hit it really hard. I had so much to heal. I mean, decades of self-loathing, that's a lot to undo. So for me, I was listening to the spiritual leaders and teachers, and thank goodness we have social media where you can see real positive posts. You can start following someone like you or I, or someone else out there that has these positive posts that tell you a different message than what this internal mind is telling you, than what the roommate within, the ego within is telling you, that you're not enough, and keeping the pain of your childhood alive today. You do not have to keep the pain of your childhood alive today, but the ego will, because the ego experienced that, and so the ego's scared, and the ego's worldview is from that space and from any hurt that harmed you. So ego is sitting there going, don't let that harm you, better do this, or even just cutting you down. It's craziness. So you have to give yourself and your ego a totally different story. And so I did. I journaled like crazy. I journaled affirmations, mantras. I mean, I listened to spiritual leaders and teachers. I was just swimming in it. And I had to, because I had a lot to undo. And I would say that my journey, I had to work really hard for a few years to inch away from the self-loathing. And I can't even recognize that girl anymore. So that's kind of cool. I can't feel that way again. I wake up with so much joy. So I know it's possible. And again, I struggled on and off psych meds for 20 years, and I've been completely free of them for 13. So it is possible. I mean, you can shift your mindset. And that's the beauty of who we are when we do connect to our soul. Anything is possible. It's really true. Anything is possible.
Beautiful.
Isn't that awesome?
And that's the message we need to keep pushing out. Anything is possible. And I'm going to bring up gender dysphoria a little bit, just because I think people don't realize that, especially the mental health realm.
Yes.
Everything, so take meds. Everything is medicalization. It's kind of like pushed really hard, not really healing your mind. Because the mind has so many neural networks that can be malleable and transformed. It's just, we have these grooves in our brain that keep telling us the same stories over and over again, but you gotta just soften those grooves and tell a new story in a way. So it's the same thing with any mental illness. Yeah, it's gonna take some time, some work, but that's why we're here. We're human. We're meant to go through different experiences so that we can pull out of ourselves, pull the bullshit out, and then make it into gold. That's what we're meant to do. And going back to the gender dysphoria thing, I want the message that you can heal your gender dysphoria. I want the message that you can change your mind, change your brain, and change the way you're thinking and perceiving to really let go of that story about you need to go on pills in order to be in confirmation with your body or align or whatever. So that's the message I want to bring out, because the ego really is directing you in the story. It's like you have to go on pills because otherwise we're going to experience gender dysphoria for the rest of our life. It's scary. Oh my God. Versus if we're bringing in our soul's more curious. The soul wants to understand where this is coming from. The soul wants to love you more, love you in those areas where you're feeling those moments of gender dysphoria. I think that when we're telling all these stories since a young little kid, our cells have cellular memory. So it's even more of the fact that ego controls the mind in a way where it thinks it controls. But ego tells all our cells like, oh, I suck, I'm ugly, I'm this, I'm that, I identify as this. And that records to your cell because your cells are like, okay, we're just going to take in all the, like, our brain is our boss, so we're just going to listen to the boss. So it's like the trauma is stored in your cells. So of course it's going to take a long time, or maybe months, years, however long it will take for you to regenerate new cells that create this harmonious belief that no, you are powerful, no, you are beautiful, you have these capabilities, the gifts that are stored in your heart, in your soul. And when you realize this, it'll echo through your cells, and cells will also activate your gifts even more. And I'm in that belief that you are able to transform your mind, your body, your heart through the connection of your soul, through exploration through your soul. What do you think?
I love it. I think that was very well said. And I think that's an amazing way to end our first podcast. But before we go, I just want to show you what is ego. This is one of my workbooks. Amazing. It's on Amazon. And you, my friend, are working on something amazing right now.
Oh my god. Don't spoil it. I'm kidding. I think I'm going to call the book Dancing with My Soul. And it's going to be a culmination of my experience, journal prompts, and some wisdom that my soul wanted to share with me. So that'll be that, along with a bunch of illustrations. So it's going to be jam-packed with beauty, wisdom, and curiosity. So get ready.
Yeah. Do you have a design to just show everyone quickly? I love your art. The next episode, we're going to show some of your designs.
Yeah. Be ready. It's going to be beautiful.
Yeah. Sayonara.
Sayonara.